Yeah, I just wanted to comment on the Bayesian frequentist thing because that is like totally outdated. That is a completely outdated debate. No one's really having the Bayesian frequentist debate anymore. And the only time it tends to come up is when Bayesians are challenged. They turn it into this Bayesian frequentist thing, I find. But in all statistics and machine learning departments everywhere, everyone uses both methods. They're both completely mathematically valid. From a philosophical perspective, they both have equal problems with them. And so to criticize Bayesianism is not to then fall back and say, well, frequentism must be the right thing. In the piece I wrote, the second of the long-termist series pieces, titled, I forgot what it's titled, the second one. That's where I spell out the instrumentalist view of probability. And that basically just means we aren't trying to find an interpretation. You don't try to find an interpretation of a neural network or an interpretation of a hammer. It's just a tool. And so if you just view it as a tool, then it's just an instrument that you can use to get useful things done. And so like the whole Bayesian frequentist thing doesn't make too much sense when you just see how widely probability is used across so many different scientific disciplines. So in information theory, for example, probability is used as a means of measuring like surprise or measuring the amount of information contained in a particular message. Is that an interpretation of probability? Well, no, I would say that's just a way that probability has proven itself to be useful. But you don't view probability as truly being about information, or some people could, but I don't. Similarly, in physics and in like statistical mechanics, you use it as a means of representing gases or like particles and boxes. Which is, again, different than how the physicists use it. Where probability could arguably not be said to be instrumental is when we're talking about quantum mechanics and fundamental properties of the universe. And that's the one place where I just put my hands in the air and say,
yeah, it sort of remains.
I don't really have I don't know. So if we separate that particular use case of probability out from the conversation, because that's just a very thorny physics issue, then I'm never going to be defending, quote, the frequentist interpretation, because it does have problems with it. What I am defending is just, let's quit trying to figure out how to interpret probability, man, and let's just recognize that it's a very useful tool to be used across circumstances. And so just to the listeners, the main critique that I have about all the misuses of probability is very simple. Just, are you using data or not? And what I'm not saying is that if you don't use data, it's invalid. What I am saying is that's like the first just like thing to check. And then using that, you can start figuring out if probability is being used as beliefs or trying to be used as a means of summarizing information and summarizing data. But when Bayesians like Scott Alexander, whom we've just been praising in the previous series, because he's great on all subjects except for this one and the AGI one, I find, when he's pushed, then he switches back into this Bayesian frequentist debate. Which, again, I just think is totally outdated. So I just want to echo what you're saying.